Here is your afternoon and early evening world conflict zone breaking news and headlines from around the world. So let's get right to it. Israeli forces raid Gaza bound humanitarian flotilla. As it's been widely reported on social media, Israeli commandos intercept dozens of ships carrying aid to Gaza, detaining over 440 activists from 47 countries, including Greta Thunberg and Mandela Mandela. The raid occurred in international waters and has sparked global protests and diplomatic backlash, including some government officials in Spain. Gaza City residents warned to evacuate. Israel issued a final warning to Gaza City residents, threatening to classify anyone who remains a terrorist. The Red Cross has suspended operations due to escalating violence. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in overnight strikes. Colombia transfers Escobar's land to conflict victims. President Petro announced that part of Escobar's infamous Napoli's estate, which has been handed over to women affected by Colombia's decades long armed conflict. The move is part of a broader land reform initiative. Meanwhile, the UN held a high level meeting urging accountability for the ongoing violence against Rohingyas, can't pronounce that properly, in Myanmar. Civil society groups are calling for renewed international pressure and humanitarian effort. West Bank demolition surge. Israel has demolished more Palestinian homes in the West Bank this year than in all of 2024, intensifying concerns over annexation efforts and displacement. Meanwhile, we have Venezuela, and let's just quickly kind of move on over there. Let's get on over to this side of the world. Meanwhile, U.S. fighter jets near Venezuelan coast. Venezuela's defense minister, Pedrino, reported that 5 U.S. combat aircraft flew close to the country's shores, calling it a provocation and a threat to national security. Emergency declaration. President Nicolas Maduro declared a state of emergency in response to the U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean. Venezuela has mobilized 3 million militia members, militarized infrastructure, and begun live fire drills. U.S. naval deployment. The U.S. has stationed warships, submarines, F 35 fighter jets in the region, citing anti drug operations. Venezuela claims these moves are part of a covert government change strategy. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, fireworks from El Helicide prison. Maduro kicked off Christmas on October 1st with a fireworks display launched from the notorious prison that houses political opponents. Critics call it a propaganda stunt to distract from economic and political turmoil. Sorry if I sound raspy. I have a major head cold, but it's too important not to be on. So bear with me as I fumble through. Military wing rejects the deal. Hamas's military chief in Gaza has reported rejected President Donald Trump's 20-point peace proposal. He believes the plan is designated to dismantle Hamas regardless of their acceptance. The key sticking points, according to Hamas: hostage release. The plan demands all hostages be free within 72 hours. Hamas sees this as giving up their only leverage. Disarmament and withdrawal. Hamas must disarm and Israel must withdraw from Gaza. Netanyahu supports the plan but insists on maintaining a military presence in parts of Gaza, contradicting the proposal's terms. International oversight. The plan calls for a transitional government led by an international body, excluding Hamas. Some Hamas leaders view this as a new form of occupation. Arab and Muslim leaders urge acceptance. Leaders from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, and others are pressuring Hamas to accept the deal to end the war and prevent regional escalation. White House awaits response. So as of this morning, Hamas has not officially responded, but they have responded. It's sort of like they have responded, but they haven't. I think it's more publicly releasing some of their concerns with this peace proposal. Sort of conflicting reports on that. But as we get more official word on exactly whether this proposal has been rejected or not, I will update accordingly. But it's a little bit kind of on both sides of the fence right now as far as this information that I've been able to obtain for this video. Meanwhile, the humanitarian crisis deepens. Israel has intensified its siege on Gaza City, and essentially what they're doing in Gaza City is they're focusing on encircling, okay, within the city itself, with an effort to encircle it and pretty much go building to building until it's completely encircled. Um, and then I guess their plan is to then take seawater and flood all of the tunnels that they been able to find and flush that stuff out, according to reports. So, with that being said, um, that is the information on Gaza itself. Um, there is a little bit more information as of probably 2 minutes before I got on for this video. But right now, those are the main points as it relates to Gaza. Now, I will take a moment and zoom out here. I do want to go to Ukraine. I think it's important here that we discuss Zaporizhzhia. So the International Atomic Energy Agency is warning that the generators at the occupied nuclear plant have only, at this point, 9-day reserve fuel supply left. Okay, the MVP has been completely disconnected from external and stable power supply for more than a week and is operating on only backup diesel generators. The current blackout at the plant is the longest that has occurred in the last 3 years. According to Zelensky, repairing the supply line is currently impossible due to constant bombings, and one generator is already completely failed. Really, to summarize, if it's not connected to an external power supply network within, at this point, 9 days, the world faces a catastrophe more terrible or potentially more terrible than Chernobyl. The EU and the IAEA director demand an immediate stop of hostilities around this nuclear plant because it's very critical we get the supply going. Meanwhile, though, we do have another issue happening in Chernobyl that I'm trying to zoom into, but I'm not going to be able to right this second. But I do want to bullet point that Chernobyl. So there's a housing that goes over the damaged nuclear reactor portion, if you will, and that is to contain what happened in the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in the 80s. So apparently, the power that supplies this housing case, if you will, has been compromised. So there's reports coming out both from Russia and from Zelensky on who's to blame for that current situation. And essentially, you might as well say that it's struggling for power as well. And if power isn't restored, then it's going to start heating up. And you may have a situation where the Chernobyl nuclear plant may be compromised and or start to show signs of fallout or another nuclear disaster at that plant. And a lot of times people don't always think of, well, that happened in the 80s. Thing is it's still damaged. The housing is meant to keep it contained and safe, and the very thing that is supposed to keep it safe is being compromised. So as we get more information and developments as it relates to that, I will update accordingly. But it's really not looking good for both of these power plants. And there's a lot of rhetoric coming from both sides. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. It needs to get fixed and corrected so that we don't end up having some nuclear meltdowns and problems that could affect the areas around and or it get into the air and create a bigger nuclear situation that can be prevented right now. So that is all I have to report this afternoon. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button. And if you like breaking news such as this nature every day, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would be thankful and humbled if you did so. And without further ado, thanks for listening and or watching. And please be safe out there. Thank you.